Hi there and welcome to the video. Listen, we're creating this video because a lot of the people in the community have been coming to us to let us know about a situation that has come up where somebody has stolen one of our designs. Pretty frustrating situation, but we want to, quite frankly, we want to focus on the positive of it rather than the negative. And more importantly, I don't want to have to say the situation of what happened 15 million times. So I kind of felt like the best way to handle this situation would be to create a video so that the same message is always sent out, and so that I don't have to repeat it 15 times or 15 million times. And quite frankly, I want to get the information out there, but I want to do it in a positive way. Because I've been in business long enough to know that you're not going to get anywhere being negative or crying over spilled milk. So there is a pretty bad situation that came up or that arose. We do definitely want to address it, but we have a lot of really cool things that came out of it too. So sit back and I guess watch the video, and you will become informed over what the situation is that happened. With that said, why did we decide to create a video explaining the situation and explaining what was going on? To be honest, I was on the fence whether or not to even address it or whether just to ignore it and move on with day-to-day business. At the end of the day, though, as I was trying to decide what to do, I came across this Facebook video that kind of put into play, maybe I really should say something, because I'm a super nice guy. I'm the kind of guy that, quite frankly, I would give the shirt off my back to a person to keep them warm. Unfortunately, when you are that way, sometimes you get walked on, and people need to know that they can't walk on you. So that is the reason why I decided to create this video. Both, one, to address the situation, two, to let the world know that, listen, it's not okay to walk on people, and then three, to talk about the positives that are going to happen as a result. So, one thing I did think would be kind of funny is to show you guys that video that kind of led me to that decision, or to the decision rather, of creating this video. So sit back and enjoy the next 20 seconds or so.
I noticed that when you're too friendly, people start showing you disrespect. They take your kindness for weakness, thinking they can walk all over you. They underestimate you, assuming you're soft just because you're a good person. But when they push you too far, they'll see a side of you they ain't ready for. If you're always nice, always doing things for them, they'll keep expecting it and think they can take advantage. That's when you gotta step up and show them a side they've never seen. Being nice doesn't mean you gotta tolerate their bullshit. Treat people the way you want to be treated is bullshit. If I don't get respect back, I'm not obligated to keep being nice. Some people don't deserve your kindness. They deserve to be checked.
I think it kind of said it best, right? I mean, like, I grew up with that kind of motto in mind, right? Be nice to people, treat them the way that you'd want to be treated, and I always do. But there should be a second part of that phrase, right? It should be treat people the way that you want to be treated, but if you're not being treated that way, don't let them keep walking all over you. And I think that's the part of the phrase that's left out, that when I watched that video, it's like, that actually makes some good sense. So without further ado, let's talk about the situation so we can get it done and over with, and deal with it. So we had been approached by I guess you call him an artist. I have trouble saying that word, because to me, an artist, doesn't do some of the things that this particular person has done. But we won't do, what I won't do here, guys, just so you know, I'm not going to call out any names, because quite frankly, if you know, you know. And I think most of you will already know who it is I'm talking about, so there's really not a need to call his name out, or the person's name that created the 3D model that stole our design. You guys know who they are, and me calling their names out is just going to be spreading mud, and I don't really want to do that. But I do want to address, like I said, I do want to address the situation. So we had this artist come to us and ask us if we could create a Coffin design to hold up to 25 trading card size cards in it. This was a GPK artist. For those of you that don't understand or don't know what GPK is, that is short for Garbage Pail Kids. It's a collector card series. So anyway, this person wanted to know if we could create a coffin-shaped box to hold up to 25 custom collector card size cards in it. That was essentially the creativity side where his creativity ended, right? He asked us to create a coffin that would hold cards. Okay, so with that, I said, yeah, that sounds like a fun challenge. It sounds like something that would be kind of cool to do. So I took on the project. And I spent quite a bit of time and quite a bit of resources, a lot of plastic, a lot of trial and error, hours and hours, and quite frankly, weeks of design and development and production and waste, some redesign with things that I noticed that were successes and failures in the project, etc., etc. My involvement was basically all of that. So I created the design of the coffin box in my own head. I did check with the person from time to time, hey, do you like this design or do you like that element? Because I was trying to work obviously with the client to make sure that they were pleased with what we were producing for them. And then they would give input of, yes, I like that, or no, I don't, or could you tweak this a little bit, whatever. Now that evidently this artist has interpreted as them having the intellectual property rights of this design, which is absolutely absurd to me, because quite frankly it wasn't their design at all, other than to say they wanted a coffin box. The entire design of the coffin box was mine from the ground up. We didn't look at any models. We didn't look at any examples of coffins. I literally, I didn't want to, because I don't really like looking at models or basing things off of previously done models per se, because then it limits your creativity. I prefer to build things from the ground up, and then I can compare, okay, how does my design compare to others, or how does my design compare to what's out there, and could I do anything to enhance it? I feel like that's the best way to remain creative of your own design and your own modeling. So that's what I did with this project is, yes, we had a coffin that we need to make. Obviously, I know the general shape of a coffin, and I needed to kind of mimic that general shape of a coffin, and I needed it to be large enough to hold cards. The inside of the coffin is really where the magic happens, though, in this particular design, because I want to not only hold the cards, I want to be able to transport them safely. So that's where we came up with what's right below me here, the original coffin design. And as you can see, that big red cross in the middle there actually serves a really, really important part or a component of this design. It holds the cards in, but it does more than that, much more than that, because, and I'll get into the design a little bit later, but it has a very specific purpose, and it is designed a very specific way, which is kind of funny, because the copy that they made, they clearly didn't understand why it was designed the way that I designed it, because what they copied was bad. Which I have to admit I find a little bit of humor in. So I don't mean to kind of snicker as I say that, but it is a little bit funny to me. Okay, so with that in mind, let me show you some pictures that I had sent to them of the original coffin design, to kind of show them what was being designed, what was on the plate, that kind of stuff. So this was the original outside of the box of the design. This was the underside of the coffin, so it has that insert of that cross-shaped, indent in the bottom of the box, because it is designed to sandwich together. So if you have multiple coffins, they actually will nest into each other so that they can be stored and shipped nicely. So they wouldn't be kind of cockeyed being shipped or stored, right? Because if you didn't have that insert on the bottom, it would essentially, when you go to ship it, it wouldn't sit flat, right? It would sit, like this. And you don't want that shipping. You want it to sit nice and flat, secure, because it locks it in place and it keeps things from bouncing around, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so then on top of that, actually, no, let's go on to the next picture. So this was the inside of the design. As you can see, there's the cross that I was talking about, and taking the cross off, that's the secure cross that holds the cards in place. Okay, now here's the important part of what they missed on their copy of my design. You see those notches, and I'll show you a little more detailed when I go to hands-on, but there's notches on each side of that box that hold that cross exactly where it needs to be, and I'll explain that later. Again, this was the final picture that I had sent them, and with the idea of we could take this insert, we could do it with your company name. Again, I would show you the picture that I did I actually designed it with their company name on it. I'm not going to show that because I don't need to dwell on who specifically it was. Those of you that know will know, and those that don't need to. Other than, when you recognize the fake coffin that's out there, I would avoid it, and I'll explain why. Okay, so with that in mind, that was the last picture to show. Let me show this. So let's talk about when I created this design. Let's just get that black and white out of the way. This was the original communication. This was a Facebook communication that we had talked about back and forth. As you can see, the date on the top of this is July 21st, July 21st, 2025 at 7:23 a.m. That's Eastern time. If you look at, let's go ahead and go down that message. These are all the pictures that I'd kind of sent them of the design. Those are the pictures that we had just gone through, that I showed you in that slideshow. Showed them all the different pictures of the design, how it works, etc., etc. Now I've already blocked out their name here again because I don't really feel the need to spread their name around, because I'm going to focus on positive things here, right? Okay, so I say here, two other exciting things that I'll tell you about. So what I talked about, the text before this was, hey, I'm going to send you some pictures. I've got a really cool inner cross design that is going to hold the cards in that I created. Here's the pictures of all of the, of all the cards. And then I also said, there's also two other exciting things to tell you about. He says, yeah, man, I like it a lot. That's really cool. I appreciate the effort, the extra cross, and they're pretty cool. Just a little something to set it apart. Okay, I say more than that. It's also there to hold the cards in so they don't come out of the container in shipping. So these will be 100% safe to ship, as it is with raw cards in them. And I should have said in them even, but nonetheless with raw cards in them. And what does he say? Oh, awesome. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Now you be the judge. He's claiming that this is his intellectual property, that this was his creation and his design. If that were the case, would he respond this way? Oh, awesome. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. In other words, what I just told him about, which was the cross design, this is the first time he's hearing about it or seeing it, and it makes sense to him as I explained it to him. I'm thinking if he had created this design, it would have already made sense to him. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so anyway, I digress. Yeah, I just find a little bit of humor in that. So now, with that in mind, keep an eye on that bottom left-hand cross, and now let's take a look at what his version... Oh, wait, actually, before I get there. So then what happened? I need to talk about this a little bit too. So we created the model, we created the design. He came to us and said, hey, I really need you to send me dimensions, like detailed dimensions of the design, so that I know what fits in the compartment, because I had done this extra little compartment here. I'll show you. I'll get back to that picture here. On the bottom of the coffin design, there's like this empty compartment where you can put a little trinket in or something special in or whatever. So he had sent us a request to give him detailed dimensions of our design so that he would know what things he could fit in there. And naively, I sent him those details. I didn't take pictures of them to show, because I don't really, I don't need to be putting the details of the millimeter specs and all that stuff out there in the world. But needless to say, we sent him those details, right? And then a little bit of time went by. I think it was, if I remember right, it was a few days or maybe even a week or something. And I'm sorry. And we had talked about pricing at that time. Here's what it's going to cost for me to do a 25 box set. Each box has to be made individually, one at a time. Each box takes approximately 8 hours to print in 3D, which is pretty significant. And it uses a fairly significant amount of plastic, so the costs were what they were. I had quoted him, given him a rate for the boxes, and waited for him to let me know. He said he needed to check with his team, and he would get back with me and let me know, what direction they wanted to go. So several days went by, I think it was, or maybe even a week or so, and he came back and said that they did not want it. That he appreciated my effort, but they couldn't afford it at this time. It was a great design, but they're going to pass. Okay, that's okay. That happens in business, right? I wish I would have gotten a contract up front, or at least a deposit to work on the project, but that was my mistake. Bottom line, he's the buyer. He can choose to not buy, and that's what he chose to not do. So no problem, no harm, no foul. I told him, that's totally understandable. If there's something I can do to adjust it, to bring the price down or whatever, let me know. I can also do things to help you with the price. I can do deferred payments, things like that. I was trying to explain to him that I really felt like this would bring a huge value add to his particular type of card set that he was doing. And I really tried to work with him financially to make it a possibility for him because, quite frankly, I thought it'd be really cool. He ended up just opting out and saying no. They decided that they couldn't afford it. So several weeks passed after that, and then I got a message from somebody saying, "Hey, so you sold your coffin design to so and so?" And I said, "No, I didn't." He ended up not buying it, and he said, "Well, then how is he on his show right now showing your coffin?" And I said, "What are you talking about? He doesn't have one of my coffins." And they said, "Well, he's showing a coffin right now on his show that looks identical to yours. Go take a look." So I went and took a look. I don't know. You guys be the judge. I went into the show, and this is what I saw. So the one on the left, which is right below me here, the original, this was our design. This was that came out of my brain, out of my creativity. This is the original coffin design. The one on the right was the one that he was showing on air. I don't know about y'all, but it's pretty blatantly clear that it's been copied. Now, I'll give credit, right? I'll give some allowance. The outside of the coffin box, not being unique is somewhat understandable. A coffin is what it is, right? There's not so many designs or different features of a coffin that could have differences in terms of from one to another. So the outside I could understand being similar. However, the inside with that cross and the cross over the box container, that is so blatantly copied, it's just not even arguable. I mean, there's nothing else out there on the market. I know that there's not, because after I designed mine, I went out and looked to see if I could find anything that was similar, because as a responsible business owner, that's something that I would do as due diligence to go, okay, is what I'm putting out there legitimately my design? And there was nothing out there. Now they have claimed, there was some free models out there, and I mean, come on, it's just silly. It's just silly. There wasn't. This is clearly a ripoff of my design. But hey, here's the thing, right? I could be mad about it. I could be angry about it, and no, I'm not really happy about it per se. However, here's the way I'm looking at it. Is at least I know, right, that they loved my design so much that they wanted to steal it. So, I mean, at least I have that as, I guess, as as something good out of it, right? Is that I know, or I've discovered that they at least love it enough that they wanted to steal it. I mean, I guess that's a compliment, right? It's a weird way of looking at a compliment, but you know, hey, at least I know they clearly liked it. But it's obviously, as you can see, it's a ripoff. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's see here. What else? So there are some things. Let me zoom in on this. I want to show you guys something that is a real big difference between the two. And this is just sort of a consumer warning for those of you that might be considering purchasing this knockoff coffin of theirs. I think they're doing it with a card set, and from what I understand, they're charging a premium for it, which, you know, anyway, I won't get into those ethics, but let me show you a close-up of the design and why, you know, what things you need to look out for. So here's their cross design on the inner chamber. You notice how their cross sits on top of that box, so it doesn't sit down, sunken down into the box. And why is that important? I can tell you why it's important, because I'm the one who created the design. I had a lot of trial and error. I can tell you exactly why it is important and why this design that they have copied is just not going to work, and is actually really bad design, because I went through this design. This is one of my designs where I went, okay, here's what I want to do. And then through trial and error and testing, I realized, oh, this design can damage the cards. Because what can happen when the cross is above the box like that, if you shake the box enough, which would happen, of course, in transit, in shipping or whatever, the card can come out of the box and get wedged underneath the cross, and between the underside of the cross and the top side of the box. And if that card gets wedged in there, you could totally do damage to that card. So I, as an engineer, as a designer, as the creator of this product, I thought, okay, what can I do to fix that problem? And that's when I created, or I altered my design to accommodate for a fix for that. Let me switch over to the cam and I'll show you what that fix or that solution is. And this is why you need to be cautious about buying this knockoff coffin. Frankly, I wouldn't spend a penny on it. Here's the design that I went with and why I went with it. You'll understand here when I show you. Let me go over to the mic again. Let's see here, right here. Oops, that's not it. This is what I want to show you. All right, so we're at the screen now. I can show you kind of hands-on how this sort of works. So here's my coffin. This is, again, my coffin design. Here's the inner cross that we were talking about, right? And you lift that inner cross up. Now, what is significant about ours? Let me put that in the light so you can see the significance. You see how these chambers are cut out right here and here and here and over here? The reason that those chambers are cut out like that is so that when that cross is in place, it doesn't sit on top of the box like this, where a card could get underneath it. It actually sits down in the box like so. So let me give you a side view of it. You see there's no way that a card can pop out and get stuck between this cross and the top of this box, which is what the flaw in the design that they copied is that a card can get wedged. If it gets underneath that cross like that, and you get a card stuck in there underneath that cross, the card can get wedged in there and it can damage the card. Obviously, you don't want that. Now, even with this though, even with this design, when I shook the heck out of it, I noticed that there were still some times where that cross would come up and out of its chamber, something to this effect. And you see how there's a little bit of a gap there, right? So how do I prevent that? Again, this is all trial and error that happens when you're engineering the product and when you're paying attention to creating the best product that you possibly can. Now watch what happens when I push in the middle of the cross. You see how that pushed that cross right back down into that chamber? That, ladies and gentlemen, is why we created this little knob that sits inside of the coffin lid. When this coffin lid is on this coffin, that little knob lines up perfectly with the center of this cross and makes it impossible for this cross to come up out of this chamber at all, because it actually pushes down on it, puts pressure on it, and keeps it locked in an absolute down position. Now, as the person who created this design, I know that that's how it works, because again, I created it. So, let me give you an example with some cards in here. I'll go ahead and grab a stack. This is a stack of 25 Garbage Pail Kid Chrome 7 cards. We'll stick those in the chamber there, put them in the card box, put that cross on. I'm going to hold it right here in the middle, which would be the same simulation as the lid being on it. And you can see, like, I'll shake the heck out of it. Ouch. Ow, I just hit my hand. That hurt. Anyway, obviously, you can see those cards aren't coming out. They're not going anywhere. You just saw how how hard I shook it. I mean, they're not going anywhere. You see that? Because this cross is being held down by that knob. And I'll put the lid on, and I'll show you the same thing, so that it, for the people that are out there saying, "Oh, well, he's holding it down with his hand." Here's the thing: when the lid is on, because that knob is inside pushing down on it, we'll shake the heck out of it. We'll turn it around. We'll shake it in every different direction. Just to see. Now let's take the lid off, and we'll take a look and see what it looks like underneath. Do you see any cards sticking out? Absolutely not. Why? Because this cross was held down in place by this knob. All right. I know this because I created this design. So, bottom line here, folks, listen, you guys can put your money where you want to. Personally, I would not put my money into the knockoff design that's out there. I think it's very frustrating. It's very bad that this artist chose to blatantly copy or steal my design. I've lost a lot of respect for this particular person and for the 3D company that printed this for him. I will never do business with them again in any sort of way. But what you choose to do is entirely up to you. To me, for an artist who is supposed to be an artist and who should be able to fully understand and appreciate not having their art stolen, it's pretty shocking to me that they would choose to steal somebody else's art, even if they really, really loved the design. That's just not a good enough excuse to steal from somebody, which, as you can see through the designs here and through my explanation, this design was very clearly stolen from me and used, given to another 3D printer, and that 3D creator created their design based off of what my design was. I cannot claim whether they did it on their own fruition, meaning if they blatantly knew I had this design out there and they copied it, or if they were supplied the information from this artist and then just kind of created based on the images that he gave them or whatever. But there's just no question. Let me put that back up, the knockoff picture, and again, I'll let you be the judge, because to me it's pretty blatantly clear. Let's see here. Oops. Why is it not? Oh, that's why. So again, their version. Here's the more zoomed in of their version. My version is on the left. The original down here with the red cross. You tell me. Was this a stolen design? Is this a bad knockoff? Now that I've kind of explained it to you. Now, let's focus on, we know it's a bad knockoff. We know that they stole the design. It's obvious. But let's focus on the positive now. I'm not going to do it in this video, but I'm going to make another video because I'm going to turn this into an awesome thing for you guys, because quite frankly, I love my design, and I think you guys will love my design. So I'm going to do some really awesome things with it, including we are going to have some artist renditions of it. I've got some inserts that are going to be able to go into the cross that the artists are going to be able to do custom artwork for you on. The details of all that will be in the next video that I make and will be available on our site, tntpug.com. But there's some really, really cool and exciting things going on that basically are going on as a result of me having to rethink how I'm going to get this cross out to market. So some pretty cool stuff. I'll give you a little quick preview here, and then I'm going to wrap this video up. Let me go back to the mic cam here. All right, so this is the new design. This is the new cross design that we're putting out. This is Coffin number 1. This is the 25 card set. That is option 1. Option 2 is the slightly larger 50 card Coffin set. This is option 2. Again, same kind of inside, just a deeper chamber. Okay, let's put this over here. Option 3, actually let's go ahead and put this over here too. I'll take that off, we'll bring that up there. Option 3, you guys, is the Mamba Jumbo. This is a 100 card. I mean, look how deep that dude is. But this is the 100 card set. Again, same kind of concept, just a much deeper chamber, holds up to 100 cards. Now here's the really cool thing about this. You saw this was the lid that I just took off of the 100 card. I designed it so that that lid is uniformly fit across the board. And the reason that is important is because this. Let me look at one of these lids here. It wasn't that one. Maybe I put it in this one. Nope, I didn't put it in it. Where did I put it? Oh, one of the, here we go. This is the other important feature of this is the inserts. And we'll get into this in a different video. But in short, we are going to be offering artist inserts where they'll be able to do their own custom designs on these. They can choose either a white insert or a black insert, and then these very, very easily just go right here into this lid. I'll put the black one in there as an example. They pressure fit down in there. Okay, that's in there then. Now you have some custom artwork that would be here on the rest of this area from an artist that can go on any one of your Coffin designs. Pretty cool, right? Pressure fits in, and again, any lid goes on any Coffin. All the Coffins are completely interlockable, interchangeable with each other. If you want an even cooler version of it, we've come out with this, which is the next generation of our Coffin. This is Artist version 2. So instead of having that red cross on the front, this Coffin has the same kind of inside. The entire thing is white, so instead of just the insert being something that an artist could do a personalized design on, they can do it over the whole Coffin. Again, white version, and we're going to be offering this in 2 different sizes, the 25 card and the 50 card, and that's going to be in white so the artist can design the entire thing from the inside out. Here's another really cool feature of this Coffin, you guys, is this. One of the things that sets our Coffin aside or apart from everything else is this fact. Let's say we have this artist designed Coffin and we want to see who created it or who designed it. Pretend this has a artist painting on it. We tap our phone to it. Automatically, it brings us up to the artist page, which can be found on our tntpug.com website, right? How cool is that? Same thing with the white one, the one without the cross. Touch it to the Coffin, automatically brings up the artist's page that created that design. If you have one of the designs that have a cross, that have the insert inside of them, same thing. If you touch that red cross is going to bring you, this is an example of one that didn't have it, but if you had one that had that, just the insert design, and you touched it, it's going to automatically bring you again to that artist page. So those are all done with RFIDs. Pretty exciting stuff, and we're going to be offering some really exciting incentives for the artists to be working with you guys to create some incredible designs in our coffin boxes that we are going to be releasing to the public, quite frankly, at a price that is unbeatable, because we want to get this product out there. We want you guys to be able to enjoy the real deal, not some cheap knockoff. One thing I'm going to leave you with that I think I find to be kind of funny, and I am going to poke a little bit of fun here because I think I've earned the right to, but one of the things that this person did in their when they were talking about their knockoff coffin on their show, they let me move this off. They talked about how it can stand up, right? Because they're going to do a similar thing where they're going to have some of their artists, I guess, draw on the coffins as well. And he was going through and showing it, and he's like, "And look, you can stand it up," and he couldn't get it to stand. I'll let the video show. This was his attempt to stand the coffin up. This is the knockoff version of my coffin. As you can see, it's struggling a bit. And when he's doing this, he's saying it can stand up, and then he says, "Well, kind of." Okay, so let me just leave you with this, and I don't even think it really requires words. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Move these out of the way. Oh look, I just all right, you guys, so I guess the statement that we'll leave this video on is just saying this: the fake knockoffs, they just don't stand up to the original. Anyway, hey, you guys have a blessed day and spend your money wisely. Get the original products that actually had a lot of time, effort, and care go into the designs. If you like these coffin designs, which I think are really phenomenal, and we're going to be doing a lot of exciting things with them. So anyway, bless you all. Thank you for spending the time to watch the video, and try to focus on the positive and help me get this thing out there so that we can focus on the positive instead of the negative of having our design stolen. Let's get the originals out there so that people can enjoy a great product. I appreciate you guys spending the time watching the video, and thank you for not asking me to repeat this 15 million times. You guys have a good day. Take care. Bless you. Bye-bye.